Hello everybody, this is Nicholas Gonzalez, part of the SPRS team. Wait a second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this is we're going to talk about our feature SPRS-26, which is the user story where users should be able to see the frame rate of the simulation in the HUD to monitor its performance. For anybody who doesn't know, the HUD is the like that user interface that goes above your screen in a game. Gives you useful information. For example, if you're at a car, it might give you your gear and your speed or something like that. If you're in a shooter or something, some type of game, you might have your health there. So here we want to create a just a little readout for frames per second, so we can track how the simulation is running, because we need it to be running in real time. Okay, so our acceptance criteria is we have a readout of the simulation's frames per second in real time. Again, our actor is our AI developer. You can see it's a pretty simple use case diagram. Let's go into the actual. Oh, that's not reset. I'll have to change that, but don't worry about that. I'll change that out. Here we go. The user wants the HUD. And then using something called tick, we calculate the FPS, and then using the HUD, we display the string, and the user can see it. Here's a class diagram. When I show you the code, it'll make a little bit more sense. We went through the unit test, and it worked no problem. It's actually pretty simple. And here's actually how it looks. As you can see, whoops, right down there, we got our frames. So why don't we actually see it in real life? Okay, brilliant. Let's start the game. Alright, so we see over here, this is our frames per second. And actually, so we can confirm that we're calculating the correct one, why don't we look at, let's do this. Okay, so in the background, I turned on a setting in the editor that calculates our frames per second in the editor, and we see that they're actually pretty close, so that means I'm calculating them correctly, which is correct. Alright, so why don't we actually look at the code now for it. Okay, so this happens in two main classes, the pawn class and the HUD class. We got the pawn on the right and the HUD on the left. So this happens in tick. Tick is basically, every time something happens, or it's how it keeps track of anything. That's how you can see that it's updating the HUD strings. It's getting your vehicle movement, and so this is how the pawn keeps track of things happening. So within there, we do a little calculation for frames per second. We're basically getting our delta, which is just like the time, and we are dividing it by 1. We're just getting the frames per second. We make it to an int, and then we make it into a string. And then that gets consumed by the HUD, which right here, this kind of just says what scale we want. This says where on the canvas we want it. What we want, which is our FPS display string, which is what we had over there. What color we want. And then we set the scale that we made up there, and then we just draw it onto the canvas. And that's all we did. It's a very similar thing to what they use for the speed in the car. And again, it works, and that's it. That's all for the video, guys. Thank you for watching.